They'll tell you the battlefield is out there in politics, in power struggles, in borders, in boardrooms. But the battlefield is here, in you. The real war has no flags, no medals, no front lines you can see. It's fought in silence, in doubt, in moments when no one's watching. When the mask is off, when the applause fades, when the roles you play fall quiet, you meet the only enemy that ever truly mattered. The part of you you've abandoned, the part you buried beneath expectation, the part that remembers who you were before the world told you who to be. The outer wars are distractions. They bait your attention, pull your spirit into fights that aren't yours. Because as long as you're consumed by them, you'll never win the one that actually defines your life. The inner war is subtle. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It waits. It seduces with comfort, with logic, with stories you didn't even know you believed. It says, stay small. It's safer. Don't speak. You might be wrong. Don't try. You might fail. Just survive. That's enough. And you obey, thinking it's your voice. But it isn't. It's your conditioning. It's your inheritance. It's the ghost of everything you were told to become so they could feel safe around you. But you weren't born for safety. You were born for sovereignty. You were born to walk into the fire of your own becoming and burn everything false to the ground. You were born to make war with illusion, with the parts of you that kneel when you were made to stand. This is not poetic metaphor. This is a demand from your soul to stop sleeping through your own damn life. Because if you don't fight this war, the war for clarity, for freedom, for identity, the world will win it for you. And their victory will be your silence. There's a term I use to describe sickness of the modern soul. Psyphoria. It's the euphoric confusion you feel when you're deeply disconnected from yourself. But you've numbed it so well, it feels like peace. Like scrolling past your dreams and calling it entertainment. Like saying, I'm fine, while you die a little more every day. You wear your trauma-like fashion, disguised in hustle, in humor, in filters, in the obsession with being seen, but never truly known. This is what they want. A population that feels just happy enough to comply, just distracted enough to never question, just anxious enough to keep consuming. Because a person who has not made peace with their mind is a customer for life. But let me tell you something they'll never advertise. Silence is revolution. Solitude is rebellion. To sit with your discomfort and not sedate it, that is spiritual warfare. You must break the trance. And to break it, you must begin with the truth. Your mind was never the enemy. It was the battlefield. And everything you've ever feared is rooted in a belief, a thought you never challenged. Mindset isn't motivation. Mindset is warfare. It is choosing what stays and what dies inside of you. There are thoughts you carry like sacred scripture that were planted by cowards, critics, and wounded ancestors. They told you humility meant hiding. That strength was aggression. That ambition was selfish. That sacrifice meant self-erasure. But the truth, humility is being so honest about your worth that you no longer have to prove it. Strength is calm. It's patience under fire. Ambition is service when it comes from a healed place. And sacrifice is sacred only when it doesn't require you to disappear. You have to become the curator of your own beliefs. You cannot afford to think thoughts that betray you. Every belief you hold either builds your empire or burns it down. Ask yourself, who told me this belief? Did they live a life I respect? Did they speak from courage or from fear? And why have I given them the keys to my reality? Clarity is what ends the war. Not power, not control, not revenge. Clarity. Because Clarity dissolves illusion. And most of your suffering isn't real, it's remembered. It's rehearsed. It's a loop you've been taught to live in. Clarity says, this is who I am, and this is who I will never be again. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't chase applause. It doesn't beg to be understood. It just is. But clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from feeling deeper, from getting radically still and asking, what part of me am I betraying every day? That's where the truth lives. In the moment you stop blaming your past and start claiming your presence. Because clarity doesn't shout, it emerges when you stop making noise. You don't need another vision board. You need a vision, a reason to bleed that's bigger than your fear of pain. Vision is sacred. It's not a goal. It's not a plan. It's a compass for your becoming. It says, I don't care if they laugh. I don't care if they leave. I don't care if I fail 1,000 times. I will become what I was born to be. Vision is holy rage wrapped in purpose. It's the fire you light inside yourself when the world turns dark. But most people don't lack ambition. They lack conviction. They have wants, not will. Your vision must terrify you. If it doesn't, it isn't from your soul. It's from your ego. And your ego plays small. Your soul, on the other hand, does not flinch. Your soul builds cathedrals with broken stone. It finds meaning in the rubble. It sees gold where others only see ashes. So build something, even if your hands shake, even if they mock you, even if it all collapses. Build, because to build is to believe in something no one else can see yet. And belief is more than mindset. Belief is ritual. It is the way you walk, the way you speak to yourself when no one is listening, the way you rise after betrayal, the way you choose to keep breathing when everything says stop. Belief is not, I think I can. It's, I know I must. Because there are versions of you that only exist on the other side of pain. And if you won't walk through the fire, you will never meet them. Belief is brutal because it asks for your excuses. It demands your fear. It strips you bare of validation. And then it whispers, now create. No applause, no safety net, no guarantee. Just the terrifying power of a soul unleashed. Discipline is the bridge between belief and embodiment. It's what turns intentions into identity. It's what makes transformation permanent. But don't confuse discipline with rigidity. Real discipline is not punishment. It's devotion. Devotion to your evolution. Devotion to becoming someone who doesn't negotiate with the voice that says, just this once. It's being loyal to the highest version of yourself, even on the days when your emotions try to overthrow your mission. Discipline is not sexy. It's not dramatic. It's quiet, repetitive, and often invisible. But it is the scaffolding of greatness. Everyone wants glory. Few want repetition. But the ones who win the inner war, they've made peace with boredom. They've befriended the grind. They understand that excellence is a result of what you do when no one's watching, especially when your mind begs for distraction. Because here's the truth. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So build them, protect them, make your rituals more powerful than your resistance. And remember, discipline isn't about forcing yourself. It's about freeing yourself. Then comes action. Not the frantic kind that comes from panic, but sacred action, the kind that's guided by clarity, fueled by purpose, and grounded in alignment. You've been taught to hustle, to run without knowing where, to confuse movement with progress. But true power True power is stillness in motion. It's not how fast you go, it's how true your steps are. The enemy wants you scattered, wants you chasing 10 things so you catch none, wants you reacting instead of responding. Because in reaction, you are owned. In alignment, you are untouchable. So stop sprinting, start aiming, act like every step you take is building a legacy. Because it is. Even your smallest decision today echoes in eternity. So make it count. Not for applause, not for followers, but because you made a vow to your future self. And that vow is sacred. But as you walk, gratitude must become your fuel. Not the kind that's written on coffee mugs. Not the kind you say just to seem positive. Real gratitude is fierce. It's radical. It's a warrior's heart saying, I will thank the fire for what it forged in me. I will thank the loss for what it revealed. I will thank the silence for what it taught me to hear. Gratitude doesn't mean settling. It means seeing clearly. It means acknowledging the lessons hidden inside the pain. It means reclaiming your power from the moments that try to break you. Because when you can look at your past and say, thank you, I needed that fire, you become someone who can never be owned again. The world can't manipulate someone who's made peace with their scars. They'll try. Oh, they'll try. But you'll be unmoved because you didn't just survive. You saw. And seeing changes everything. Now, prepare to evolve. Adaptability is your weapon in a world designed to destabilize you. The rigid break, the adaptable bend, shift, and rise. Adaptability is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's knowing that control is an illusion, but response is everything. Most people are addicted to certainty, but certainty is a trap. It makes you brittle. It makes you fear change. It makes you cling to what no longer serves you, simply because it's familiar. But the soul doesn't grow in the familiar. The soul grows in the unknown. Adaptability says, I may not control the storm, but I will learn to sail inside it. I may not choose what happens, but I will always choose who I become. Because when you're rooted in truth, change doesn't threaten you, it reveals you. Then comes the blade, resilience. Not just the ability to take hits, but the ability to get stronger from them. Resilience is forged, not found. It's built in the moment you choose to rise when it would be easier to run. It's built in the moment you choose integrity when compromise would be more convenient. It's built in the moment you decide that the story doesn't end here. You weren't made to shatter. You were made to sharpen, to become more dangerous, more focused, more alive every time life tried to reduce you. Resilience doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you feel everything and still refuse to bow. It means you cry and you bleed and you question, but you never quit. Because quitting is a language you unlearn. Once you realize that suffering is not the end, it's the initiation. And what's waiting on the other side of that initiation is a kind of strength that terrifies people. Not because it's loud, but because it's unbreakable. And finally, the most dangerous skill in a world drowning in noise, learning. Lifelong learning is not about collecting information. It's about shedding ignorance, shedding ego, shedding the illusion that you've arrived. The more you learn, the more you realize how little you know. And that's not discouraging. That's divine. Because when you live in a state of humble curiosity, you become limitless. You ask deeper questions. You challenge inherited scripts. You rewrite realities. The unteachable stay trapped. The learners evolve endlessly. every book, every failure, every person you meet, they are mirrors revealing something about you. Are you brave enough to look? Are you willing to sit in the discomfort of being wrong so you can become someone righter than you've ever been? That's the war. It's not about being right. It's about becoming whole. And wholeness doesn't come from victory. It comes from awareness. The inner war is the only war that matters. Because every war out there is a projection of the ones people lost inside themselves. They fight others because they can't face their own shadows. They dominate because they fear their own inadequacy. They manipulate because they've never known real power. But not you. You are not here to conquer others. You are here to conquer the illusion, to stare into the abyss of yourself and not look away. You are here to reclaim your soul from every lie, every wound, every chain that told you you weren't enough. You are here to burn, to break, to resurrect. You are here to remember that the war within is not a curse. It is your calling. Because when you win this war, nothing outside you can ever defeat you again. And that is true power. And once you taste that power, not the kind that dominates, but the kind that liberates, you will never go back. You see through the games, through the noise, through the false rewards they dangle like bait. You'll no longer trade your authenticity for approval. You'll no longer shrink just to fit inside rooms that can't hold your truth. You'll no longer chase things that once made you feel important because now you are. You'll walk different. Not because you're arrogant, but because you've remembered who you were before they told you who to be. Before they named you, shamed you, tamed you. Before you became a mirror for their fears instead of a voice for your purpose. And this remembrance, this return to wholeness, is the death of every illusion that ever owned you. Let them watch. Let them call you intense, too much, dramatic, obsessed, because they don't understand what it took to kill the coward inside you. They don't understand what it cost to silence the noise, to sit with your shame, to hold your guilt without letting it define you, to tell your inner child, we made it. They weren't there. They didn't see you fight with trembling hands. They didn't hear the wars you fought in the quiet, with no crowd, no medal, no mentor. So no, they don't get to define you. They never did. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be real. And sometimes the realest ones are the most misunderstood because they refuse to live inside lies. You are not here to entertain. You are not here to be liked. You are here to transform, to create, to disrupt, to burn down what's fake and rise from the ash as something undeniable. So what now? Now you choose. You choose whether to stay in the familiar pain or walk into the unfamiliar power. You choose whether to numb your way through another year or finally feel everything you've been avoiding and become because of it. You choose whether to keep negotiating with the inner enemy or take the throne that's always been yours. Because that's what this is. A return to your throne. No one gives it to you. No one hands you permission. No one crowns you. You claim it by killing everything in you that ever bowed to fear. It's not easy. It's not romantic. It's not viral. It's sacred. And sacred things are always misunderstood by the masses. But you are not the masses. You are the reminder. The one they feel when you walk in the room and don't need to speak. The one who terrifies not with volume but with clarity, with calm, with presence. Because the ones who've won the war inside, they carry a peace that shakes the room. Not a peace built on avoidance, but a peace forged in fire. The peace of someone who's died many deaths and came back every time clearer, sharper, stronger, quieter. This is your birthright. So let this be the day you stop waiting for a sign, for a savior, for a better mood, a better time, a better world. The world doesn't get better. You do. And then the world reflects you. Stop looking for a revolution outside. Be the revolution inside. Let the doubters talk. Let the noise grow louder. Let the world throw its chaos at you. You'll stand because you fought the only war that matters, and you've won. And when the world looks at you with confusion, asks how you walk through fire without burning, asks how you lost everything and became more, asks how you carry silence like a sword, tells them the truth they're not ready for. I went to war with myself, and I didn't lose. Let them feel that. Let them feel the weight of someone who has nothing left to prove, because they've reclaimed everything that can't be taken. That is the war. That is the fire. That is the awakening. And that is the only fight worth dying for. Because in dying to illusion, you finally live. The inner war is the only war that matters. And now you are ready to lead from the ashes. Because what rises from those ashes is no longer the version of you that needed saving. What rises is the one who knows they were the savior all along, the protector of their own peace, the architect of their own mind, the master of their own energy. You become the force you were waiting for, not by becoming someone new, but by shedding what was never you to begin with. You unlearn, you undo, you unravel every inherited fear, every false identity, every desperate attempt to be chosen by people who never even knew how to choose themselves. You return to your roots, to your rage, to your radiance, to the sacred silence within you that never needed noise to feel worthy. This is what they'll never understand. You didn't become powerful by chasing it. You became powerful by removing everything that made you forget you already were. And now your presence speaks louder than their shouting. Now your calm disturbs their chaos. Now your stillness unnerves their performance. Because nothing terrifies the world more than someone who can't be seduced by it. They'll try to pull you back with guilt, with shame, with echoes of your old self. But don't flinch. Your old self is not a prison you visit for nostalgia. It is a tomb, and you do not resurrect what you've already outgrown. You're not here to apologize for evolving. You are here to embody it fully, proudly, without shrinking an inch. They'll call you different now. Let them. Different is a compliment in a world addicted to the average. They'll say you changed. Smile. That was the entire point. You are not who you were, and that is your power. You are no longer the person who needed external approval to feel inner peace. You are no longer the person who confused attention for love. You are no longer the person who stayed quiet just to be liked. You are no longer the person who sacrificed themselves on the altar of belonging. You died, and what came back was truth, wearing your name. So let them talk. Let them stare. Let them label what they cannot understand. Because the ones who understand won't need words. They'll feel it in the way you move, in the way you breathe, in the way you stand still in a world that only knows how to run. And that stillness, that clarity, that grounded fire will become your legacy. Not just for you, but for everyone who sees you and finally believes they can come home to themselves too. Because your healing isn't selfish. Your strength isn't just yours. Every wound you've closed becomes a map for someone else still bleeding in the dark. You want to change the world? Start with the war inside you. Win there. Then walk into the world carrying the flame of someone who didn't just survive, but chose to awaken. This is how you build a life that cannot be stolen. This is how you become someone they cannot control. This is how you stop being a puppet of your pain and start becoming a pioneer of your purpose by winning the war within. So sharpen your awareness like a blade. Cleanse your mind like a temple. Guard your energy like a fortress. Speak your truth like a prayer. Let your presence be the rebellion. Let your joy be the defiance. Let your discipline be the proof. And let your soul, fully awake, fully alive, be the loudest sermon the world has ever seen. Because in the end, the most powerful person isn't the one who controls others. It's the one who's mastered themselves. And the only way to do that is to face the war they told you to ignore. The inner war, the silent one, the invisible one, the one that determines everything, the only war that ever mattered. Here is the extended ending in English, as requested, written in the same cinematic, emotionally gripping voiceover style. And when everything falls silent, when the dust of your inner war finally settles, when there is no applause, no eyes watching, no one left to impress, that is the moment you realize you were never meant to escape pain. You were meant to transform through it. You weren't born for comfort. You were born for meaning, not to please, but to stand clear, not to avoid the storm, but to become the one who walks through it and does not bow. You begin to understand. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want. Real freedom is no longer being controlled by your past, by your fears, by your false stories. Freedom is not pretending to be strong. It's knowing that you are. Freedom is no longer needing to prove your worth, because your very existence, your breath, your being is the proof. You don't need validation. You are validation. You don't need permission. You are the permission. You don't need to be understood. You are not here to be explained. You are here to be felt. Let them say what they will. Let them misunderstand. Let them watch with confusion and fear in their eyes, because they don't know what it took to silence the war inside you. They didn't see the nights you screamed into pillows, the mornings you woke up feeling like a ghost, the battles no one clapped for, but you showed up anyway. They will never know, and they don't have to, because you don't need a witness. You've already been seen by the only one who matters. You. You looked your pain in the eye. You stared into your shame and refused to flinch. You lost everything false and found everything real. You're no longer the person who begs for love. You are love, embodied. You're no longer the person who runs from the mirror. You own your reflection now, flaws and all. And when the world asks what happened to you, when they say you've changed, when they wonder how you became so still, so sharp, so powerful, you smile and say, I went to war with myself, and I didn't lose. Now you walk differently. Not because you're arrogant, but because you've remembered. Not because you need to prove something, but because you carry a quiet knowing that no one can take away. That knowing is your crown. That stillness is your evolution. That inner peace, it's your rebellion in a world addicted to chaos. You're no longer waiting for the world to shift. You've shifted yourself. And now the world responds to you. You don't react. You respond. You don't seek. You stand. You don't cling. You create. You become the thing you were always looking for. So now what? Now you live as if you've reclaimed your soul. You breathe as if every breath is a declaration. I am no longer afraid of myself, because the war is over. The masks are off, and all that remains is truth, pure, untamed, unedited truth, standing tall in your name. This is how the world changes, not with noise, not with force, but with a soul who has made peace with its own chaos and emerged unshaken. Let your life be a sermon, not in words, but in presence. Let your clarity be contagious. Let your groundedness become a lighthouse. Let your journey be the proof that freedom doesn't come from winning over others. It comes from winning yourself back. You are not just healed. You are reborn. You are not just strong. You are untouchable. And the world may never understand how you did it, but they'll feel it everywhere you go, in every silence, in every gaze, in every word you no longer need to say. You are living evidence that the only war that ever mattered was the one within, and now that you've won it, you are finally free.